Hey everyone, so you got into the point in your experiment where you've written your procedures. Before you start doing your experiment and collecting your data, it's really important that you create a data table. It's really important you know how to do this, okay? So I'm going to do an example to show you how to create a data table. For my example, I'm going to pretend this is the experiment I'm doing a test for. How does the altitude at which I boil the water affect the time it takes the water to evaporate? Okay, so really important, guys. First things first is we need a title. So what's the title? And I guess this doesn't have to be first. You could do this at the end, but it's really important to have a title for your data table. So in my example, because this is the question I'm testing, the title of my data table is going to be the time it takes water to boil at different altitudes. Awesome. That's the title of my data table. Now I'm going to create my data table. Okay, so I'm going to go insert table, and it's okay. You can kind of estimate at first how many rows and columns you're going to need. You can always add more rows and columns later. So I'm going to make or delete rows and columns. So I'm going to add just a data table like this. So super important, guys, on your data table is to have your IV levels. So my independent variable, as you can see, is let me put this in the middle, is altitude, right? How does the altitude affect the time it takes the water to evaporate? So for me, what I decided to do for my IV levels is I've decided I'm going to test it at Bogota's altitude, which is 2,600 meters. I'm going to test it at my finca, which is at 2,000 meters. And I'm going to test it at my friend's finca, which is 1,400 meters. Okay, so those are the three altitudes I'm going to boil water to see how long it takes to boil. Those are my IV levels. So your IV levels can go here in this first column. You're going to skip this first box because you're also going to fill in this row here. In this row, I'm going to put my trials. So I'm going to do, for me, my experiment, I think to get really accurate and reliable results, I want to have 3 trials. Trial 1, trial 2, and trial 3. I'm going to do each one in seconds. So let's put seconds up here as a unit for each one. Of course, the question is what goes in this last one, and that is your average. So you're going to average all 3 of these. In order to average, we just add them up and divide, in this case, by 3, because we have 3 trials. And it's up to you. You can make it look pretty. I like to center these and center these, but it's completely up to you. If you want to do that, you can add colors. That's fine with me, but probably the more simple and straightforward, the better. The important thing to realize is that you have your IV levels with a unit, you have your trials with the unit, and you have a column for average, and you have a title. So to go back a second, common experimental design mistake number 2 that students make is a student's data table is messy and confusing, right? We want our data table to be super clear so someone can look at it and say, like, oh, I understand this data very clearly. So don't make that mistake. Make sure your data table includes a title, units, data from all your trials, and a column that shows the average for each IV level. Thank you, guys.